fantastic conversation as the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special specializing in the 30-minute marketing model. No other than Mr. Aaron Witnish.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
Welcome, Mr. Aaron. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Thanks for having me. I'm from Australia, or you might be able to pick that up in the accent. Been in the marketing industry now this is the 16th year of running an agency, and over the years we've done pretty much all aspects of marketing, and slowly but surely we've specialized, and we find ourselves today using a strategy. It's called the 30-minute marketing model, and it combines AI, it combines human content, it combines dealing with people to help businesses of all sizes, regardless of their budget, regardless of their skill set, to be able to grow in this ever-changing landscape. So that's kind of a snapshot of where we're at.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Aaron. Thank you. And today, let's talk about the 30-minute marketing model, the anti-burnout promise. Many marketing models preach hustle harder. Yours promise effectiveness in 30 minutes. What is the single biggest philosophical shift in thinking about time and attention that had to happen before this model could exist?
One of the biggest problems for business owners is they've got all these other priorities that are screaming for their attention. They've got client fires constantly going, they've got team members, content constantly gets pushed right down the bottom of the list, and rightly so when you're running a business. So we had to come up with a strategy as an agency that was underwhelming, and also didn't take a lot of prep, didn't take a lot of effort, didn't require any new skill sets in order to humanize businesses, make them stand out in the marketplace. And it was through a conversation with a bricklayer in Melbourne down here one day on Zoom. And he said he wanted to start shooting videos and build up his profile in the local construction industry. And I said, well, let's just try something. And I hit record while we were on Zoom, and I just started asking questions. So it was spontaneous. We were doing it on the fly. And he rattled off these perfect answers as if we were having a beer at a pub or a coffee at a cafe. And it was very authentic and it was very real. And there was no prep involved for the session. And then once the session was over, I sent it off to my editors and said, can you cut any clips you think we might be able to use on social media from this conversation? We got back roughly 12 clips from a spontaneous 20-minute conversation. And then I realized we'd found a way for business owners that have packed schedules, they're overwhelmed, to be able to jump on once a month, have a simple conversation, and then repurpose that into their video and take the transcripts and put that into their written content for the month. So it was birthed by mistake almost, or by coincidence. And here we are, and we've refined it ever since that moment.
Congratulations, Mr. Aaron. You found it. In a world obsessed with optimization, your model embraces good enough execution. How do you help perfectionist entrepreneurs define the threshold for a different marketing activities, and what's the cost of closing it?
The biggest challenge, I think, for a lot of people in the business space is understanding that how content is received online. And the more produced, say, a video is, for example, the more it gets perceived as advertising, the editing, the filters, the dimensions. But in today's landscape where there's a lot of synthetic content, a lot of AI generated content, there's more and more people putting high volumes out. What's going to stand out in a world where avatars start appearing and they start getting fed scripts and they start regurgitating other people's IP and information is the human. And that's authentic and personal to the business owner. And the great thing about when you show up as a human being is it attracts and repels. Some people are going to resonate with you, your values, what you have to say, your personality, others are not going to resonate with it. By showing up as yourself, you attract a tribe that genuinely connect with your brand and your business. The less polished that you make it while still keeping it professional and on brand, the more approachable you become. And in an age where trust is going to be very hard to earn, because we're very skeptical now about what we see. Is that a real event? Did it actually happen? Am I watching a real person right now? If you're able to show up authentically in the marketplace, you'll get that trust. And ultimately, that's going to help people make those buying decisions when they've got lots of other options on the table. The more they trust you, the more they feel like your expertise can solve their problems, the easier it is to go forward with a decision with the least amount of resistance. And that's how it ties in today's current landscape.
Indeed. So let's talk about the focus funnel, Mr. Aaron. With only 30 minutes, focus is everything. What is the decision making framework or filtering question you teach to instantly determine if a task is worthy or of the day's precious half hour?
When it comes to the content side, it's really important that you're in your client's mind. They're the ones that you ultimately want to be reaching with a video, with a post. The way that we ensure that that's happening is we've built a GPT. So this is where AI does come in and plays a role into the service. And what that does is it pulls the questions from people also ask on Google. If you do any search, put a keyword into Google, you scroll down the thread a little bit, there's a people also ask, and that'll give you insights into what your target audience is asking and searching online. So we get all the questions from those searchers using a GPT that we've built. We might have 5 or 6 different topics for a client that their market might be interested in. So let's say someone was a mortgage broker, we might have interest rates questions, we might have property market questions, we might have questions about how the broking process works and so forth. And we'll pull a couple of questions from each category. So we're always asking new questions that are relevant and front of mind. And then we'll also ask some personalized questions. So we bring the audience into their world a little bit. We make that human connection. They get to know the journey. And that's how we decipher what's worth talking about in the session. It's always what are the target audience asking online? So we can be one step ahead, preempting what their problems are and giving them that goodwill up front by answering those questions and solving their problems before they even come and do business with a client.
Well said, very well said, Mr. Aaron. So beyond the task to systems, this is not just about doing the task in 30 minutes, but building a system itself. What is the most important connective tissue or recurring ritual that isolated as 30-minute blocks create compounding results?
The key is that showing up every single month. If it's hard, you might get someone to do it through willpower, but when they know it's just a conversation and all I've got to do is chat and I can just be myself, that's the bones of getting people to execute. And then it's about taking the rest off the plate of the business owner. So once they've had that conversation, their part's done. We cut the clips to each of the questions. There's AI tools that can help put captions and things of that nature on Canva is a simple one that can do it. There's tools like Opus Clip. And then with ChatGPT, you can take the transcript of that conversation. Let's say you record it on Google Meet, it'll automatically transcribe the session for you. And you can just give it to ChatGPT, say, hey, these are the questions that we're targeting. Here's the style of writing, voice, brand, tone, personality for this particular business or client. Write it in that style that makes them approachable and make sure that's engaging with their target audience. And then it'll go through and repurpose each of the questions into your written posts. So the idea is the client doesn't have to do any of the heavy lifting in the background. Our systems take over that process, but the key is showing up for that 30-minute conversation once a month. And even if you weren't working with an agency to do this, any business owner could use tools to do it. You could have a chat with a colleague, get your questions, sit down, have a conversation once a month on Google Meet. You can then get that video from Google Drive, put it through an Opus clip, put it through a Get Munch. You'll get a series of clips that are ready to go with your templated branding on it. And then you can take the transcript and use ChatGPT to repurpose into your written post. So even if you're not working with an agency, it makes content creation very authentic, very simple, very straightforward to any business owner that wants to keep it original, but also doesn't have a lot of time on their plate.
Aaron, let's talk about the strategy and the prioritization. Triads are the sea of options. An overwhelmed business owner has a 100 potential markets in task. What is the first layer triad system from your model to categorize what gets into a 30-minute queue and what gets archived or automated?
Most important thing is the who. Many business owners get seduced by views, likes, all those vanity metrics, but you can reach a million people in, say, India. But if you're a small local business and your clients have to travel to your location, then it's not going to help you reaching a million people on the other side of the world. It's understanding that if your target clients are the ones that are ultimately going to buy and do business with you, what do we need to do to make sure that they're ultimately the ones that are seeing the content? And depending on whether you're a fixed location business or you can service anyone around the world, there's little strategies like when you post it and schedule it to the platform at times where they're most likely to be online. So you give yourself every opportunity of being seen. And then you've got steps like that boost button. So you can confine down the location of who's seeing the content. You can throw in some interest and make sure that the people that are actually watching your videos or reading your posts are the ones that are qualified to do business with you versus reaching all these people around the world that may have no utility for your product or service, but you're getting excited because you're getting all these other metrics that don't grow the business. And it's understanding that's really the key when it comes to marketing. You're much better off getting in front of 10 people that have an urgent need to get the problem solved that you solve versus thousands of people that have no utility or use or desire for your product or service whatsoever.
Interesting, Mr. Aaron. Definitely interesting. Your model likely discourages chasing every shiny new platform. How do you guide someone to build a simple, resilient, and marketing portfolio, maybe two to three core activities that protects them from algorithm changes and platform decay?
Similarly to what I just said, most businesses will have a primary platform. So you think about when you go to consume content for your industry, what platform do you spend the most time doing that on? And that's where you should be putting 80% of your efforts and energies. Because if you're trying to manage TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you're going to be spread very thin and each treat content very differently. So you step back and go, where do I have an existing network? Where do I already have some audience where people already know me? So I've got a foot in. Where do I like to engage and interact as a business owner as well? So there's also a desire to manage the interactions and engagements that are going on that platform, and then really focusing on the content for people that are on that platform that meet your ideal client avatar and eliminating all the noise. And then once you do build an audience, it's easy to migrate over to other platforms because some of those followers will then come across if you open up a new account. The biggest mistake I see is people spread themselves too thin and they've got way too many platforms they're trying to manage and they're getting very poor results across all the platforms versus getting a very, very good result by sticking to one and keeping it very simple in the beginning.
Mr. Aaron, deep data analysis can eat a whole day. How does your model teach quick, actionable data systems? And what are the 1 to 2 metrics you should check in 5 minutes to inform the next 25 minutes of work?
Well, when it comes to the metrics that are going to be most important for with content, it's different in that there's a long term mentality. If you go to the gym, for example, and you do a workout and you haven't been for a couple of years, then you're not going to transform your body in that one session. Content's a little bit similar; it compounds over time. And if you keep showing up consistently and you keep adding the value, what you'll find is that the engagement starts to rise, your number of your followers rise, the watch time that people spend with your business starts to rise. Now, whilst they're not, as I said, they can be vanity metrics, you will see those start to compound. And then you can always tie it back to revenue. And one of the ways that we've helped clients be able to measure to an extent what sort of impact is this having on my business, they look at their sales conversion. So they go, has that moved since we've started showing up and producing content? Because when people naturally want to go do business with someone, they go check out their profile. They go have a look, they poke around, and they tick those boxes they need to tick in order to buy. So we usually see a lift in clients' conversion on the sales side. Number two, we will start to see sales growth as well. We'll start to be able to measure the number of inbound opportunities that are coming, say, through Messenger, how many people have contacted the business directly on the back of content, has been making profile visits and so forth. And one thing that you can do is we call it the one URL rule. This is where all your content marketing efforts, if they're going to drive traffic anywhere, go back to one URL so you can measure the results. You can go, okay, so we're sending all our traffic from content back to this one place. It might be a landing page, a lead magnet, whatever it is. And you can get clear metrics on exactly the impact that your content is having by using the one URL strategy and knowing that all my content efforts are driving energy into this one place, and you can track everything using that framework right there.
Very well said, Mr. Aaron. So, as an entrepreneur, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
For me, the vision as it stands is we want to educate and help 100,000 business owners for free, which means they're able to execute the model that we ultimately charge for in-house, just following the systems, the tools and structure. So that's sort of the bigger picture. Then we want to have 100 clients that are in our training program that work with us, and it's more of an implementation done with them process to help them build the systems internally. And then we have our done for you clients, which is almost booked out at the moment. I'm going to keep that somewhere around 25 at the moment. And that means our current team hits capacity with what we have without overwhelming everyone. And if we maintain that 25 done for you client base, and we might increase prices over time when get clients off board and new ones come in, and we build out that training program and continue doing the free service, I think we'll have a bit of an impact on the world that I'd feel good about.
Certainly, Mr. Aaron, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Step one is always showing up. A lot of people sit there, they strategize, they write ideas, plans down, and it's never perfect. And it is something that you do get better with over time. So you've got to take that first step, and particularly with content, which can be very in your face, very fearful for a business owner, particularly being on video, you've just got to get started because you will get better. It's like any skill set. So I'd say pull your camera out and just hit record and say, hey, this is my first video. I promise they're going to get better. We're going to be bringing to you content about XYZ topic. If you've got any questions or any ideas you'd like me to talk about, put them below. We'll come back to you and answer those questions. That could be your starting place. But if you're not visible and you're not seen and you don't show up in the current marketplace, it's going to be very hard to stand out. So to anyone that's sitting on the fence and umming and ahhing or procrastinating, you've just got to do that first step. And after that, it gets a little bit easier each time.
Definitely. Baby step, people. And thank you for that empowering advice, Mr. Aaron. So let's talk about the portfolio mindset. Your model likely discouraging chasing every shiny platform, but how about the data itself? The deep data analysis can, well, be it for the whole day. And then what is the critical 60 seconds mental or environmental setup that separates the focused 30 minutes from a distracted half hour?
The key is setting yourself up in a space where there are no distractions, which is why jumping on a session, just like we're doing now, which is essentially how we capture the content, where it's a dedicated spot, there's boundaries around it, it's in the calendar, which means there's no excuses for not doing it. That's how you get it locked in. And then we usually say go into a quiet space that makes you feel abundant, happy to show up on camera, on Google Meets, and record there, shut the door, have no disruptions coming in. On the data side, we would say don't worry about metrics in the first 12 months if you're just starting out. And the reason for that is you want to build the muscle and the habit, because as I said, it does compound over time. And if people are worrying about how a particular video is performing or a particular post, they're missing that it's about other people. It's about serving and making a difference to other people's lives. And they don't really care about what your metrics are and what your results are. So you've got to make it a bigger picture mission and vision where it's about serving other people. And if you're able to forget about the metrics and just focus on building the system and the habit and the routine, it'll take care of itself long term. And that's the key, because if you do 10 videos, one of that video is going to be the best, one of it's going to be the worst each time you do 10 videos. So you're going to have underperformers, things that you thought would work that didn't work. You're going to have ones that you thought there's no way anyone's going to watch this or enjoy this that goes off the charts. And it's always the content that I least expect is going to do well that often performs, and the ones that I think would be successful often perform the least. So you don't want to prejudge anything, and just know that, like any good habit, building a portfolio, you've got to keep compounding to get the ROI and the investments. So you focus on the activity and the execution in the beginning rather than only 4 people saw that first post and it's heartbreaking. It's like, well, one of those people, you might have changed their lives. They might have heard exactly what they needed to hear that day. And if you keep showing up, then it might be 8 people. Next time it might be 20 people. And then eventually all of a sudden you're reaching thousands of people because you kept building that muscle and being consistent.
Mr. Aaron, some projects inherently need more time. How does the model coexist with the accommodate these bigger projects without abandoning the daily momentum?
The key is always to prioritize what's going to move the needle. The most successful business owners I deal with, they tend to always be the ones that really know what to focus on day to day, what's noise. And when they focus on the tasks that are going to have the biggest impact on the mission that they're trying to achieve, and they do that one thing initially and don't move off it till that's done, that's always a priority. And the way that the 30 minutes fits into the model so effortlessly is, for a business owner, is literally that 30 minutes a month. And we can just dedicatedly book it into the calendar. But for anyone that's in business that makes rapid progress, it tends to be because they're putting their attention on the right actions and activities, and they know where their priorities lie. And for any business owner, if you've got 1,000 things on the table, it's scaling it back and go, okay, if I could only get one of these done today or in the next hour, whatever the time frame is, which one is going to have the biggest impact on getting to where I want to go? And that's the decision-making framework that you use. And you can also stress test that. If you have a business mentor, someone else that's in business, go, from what you can see, if this is where I'm trying to get, of all these things on my plate, which one do you feel is the highest priority, which is just noise? And get that feedback from someone that's removed, someone that has experience and is neutral. And that can be very helpful as well. It's certainly something that I lean into myself when it comes to where should I be putting my time, energy, and effort as a business owner.
Mr. Aaron, the obvious benefit is time save, but what's about the less obvious, perhaps psychological or strategic benefit you observe in user? Is it better creativity under constraint or reduce decision fatigue or something else?
That's the obvious one, eliminating overwhelm, reducing the fatigue, getting things done. But for me, I'd say it's also the brand building component that isn't talked about. And that idea that the average person, particularly if you sell products or services that are higher end, people have options, and they will look and they will make decisions based on who resonates with them, who has their trust. And that's the invisible hand component that it's hard to measure. What made someone say yes and move forward? What made someone say no and never reach out, never come back to your profile, never come back to your website? The people that show up and have a strong, authentic brand, that's going to have a giant impact on their ability to ultimately convert sales, but also to position in the marketplace in a way that does stand out in a sea of what's going to be a lot of AI, a lot of synthetic stuff that anyone can generate with an app on their phone. So that brand element and that sales conversion aspect that you don't necessarily get direct reporting on, that's a big one that you don't often see with a strategy like this.
Very well said, Mr. Aaron. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my Abstract Essay is already in sixth season, Abstract Poetry in third season, and of course my Book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in third season, and my Food 101 in sixth season too. Geography 101 Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 are in Fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101, fourth season, Spiritual Awakening, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Aaron, adopting this model requires moving from I'm always behind on marketing to I'm marketing efficiently every day. What is the most common limiting identity belief that blocks people, and how do you help them reframe it?
It is that fear of judgment. What will other people say? What will other people think? And usually it's tied to your direct network, friends and family. And again, it's about shifting that mindset from worrying about yourself to that place of service. And when it's about other people and not judging yourself so much, that's where the needle starts to move. We might judge ourselves very harshly because we care about how we might look. We care about the words that might come out of our mouth saying the same things. But to the marketplace, you're going to get respect just by showing up. So I'd say, don't make it about you, make it about the people that you want to make lives better. And that's the key to building something long term and getting out of your own way when it comes to execution.
Very well said, Mr. Aaron. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
If you want to get in touch, if you just go to aaronwitnish.com, I'm sure there'll be a link in the show notes below. You can connect with me on social media. All the profiles are there. There's a little bit more about what we do and some testimonials. So if you want to keep learning this model and this system, that's the best place to get in touch.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Aaron Witness because if you support him for sure more and more empowering marketing worldwide. I have one more question, Mr. Aaron. If someone perfectly implemented this model for 90 days, what would you expect the relationship with marketing and their own time to feel like? What is the emotional and business outcome of that sustained practice?
Depending on how narrow your niche is, we've seen businesses go from obscurity where no one really knew they existed. I'll give you an example. We have a client that's in rail engineering in Australia to being the most well-known business in their industry on LinkedIn because they were the only business in that space that was posting content. So depending on how niche you are, the bigger your opportunity is to stand out faster and cut through the noise. So that's an extreme example. But having said that, if you can productize and make your business stand out by giving a name to whatever it is that you offer, you can draw a lot of attention and separate yourself from the competition in 90 days, which means you'll have a leg up when it comes to all marketing efforts. It raises all other things that you're doing from advertising to outreach, any other marketing strategies by being visible and present and consistent online.
Very well said, Mr. Aaron, and congratulations for the method and keep up the good work. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Welcome, people. See you soon.